Imagine cracking open the icy ground of Siberia and discovering a creature that has not moved, eaten, or breathed for 24,000 years. Yet with just a touch of warmth, it comes back to life. This isn't the plot of a sci-fi movie. It's a real discovery that has left scientists around the world stunned and curious. Could this tiny worm be the first of many ancient life forms waiting patiently beneath the frozen earth to wake up again? And if they do, what does that mean for our understanding of extinction, evolution, or even our own future survival? Some say it's an inspiring glimpse into life's resilience. Others warn it could unleash ancient biohazards we're not prepared for. This revived prehistoric worm was found buried deep within the Siberian permafrost, a frozen vault that has held secrets for millennia. One moment, it was just a frozen speck in ancient soil. The next, it wiggled back to life, moving its tiny body as if it had just taken a long nap. As we dig deeper into this mind-bending story, think about this. If a worm can wake up after 24,000 years, what else might be waiting under the ice, ready to challenge everything we thought we knew about life and death? The frozen vault of time, stretching across vast swaths of Russia, Canada, Alaska, and Greenland, the permafrost is more than just frozen dirt. It's a colossal time capsule that covers nearly a quarter of the northern hemisphere's land surface. Imagine a natural deep freezer locking away the remains of plants, animals, and microscopic life from the dawn of human history, and even long before that. Some parts of this frozen ground have stayed solid for hundreds of thousands of years, never fully thawing even during the warmest seasons. This deep freeze works like nature's perfect preservation system. When organic matter gets trapped in these icy layers, it's protected from decay. Microbes, seeds, spores, and even tiny animals can remain suspended in a kind of biological pause button, waiting for the exact right conditions to stir back to life. The idea that life can survive such extremes pushes our understanding of biology to its limits. These icy layers don't just hold ancient worms. They could be hiding extinct viruses, long-forgotten plants, or secrets that could rewrite our evolutionary story. The permafrost is not just frozen mud, it's Earth's ancient vault, and we're only beginning to unlock what's inside. The discovery beneath the ice. The story of this revived worm began deep in the frozen wilderness of Siberia, where a team of Russian scientists set out to explore layers of ancient permafrost. These researchers, led by specialists from the Institute of Physiochemical and Biological Problems in Soil Science in Pushchino, knew they were digging into a realm untouched by time. They collected soil samples from the Alizaya River in northeastern Siberia, a region where temperatures drop so low that the ground remains frozen year-round. With every scoop of earth, they were pulling back layers of history that spanned tens of thousands of years. Back in the lab, they began the delicate process of examining what secrets lay hidden in the frozen soil. Using radiocarbon dating, they were able to pinpoint the age of the sample where the tiny creature was found. Radiocarbon dating works like nature's timestamp, measuring the decay of carbon isotopes to determine how long organic material has been buried. When the results came back, the scientists realized they were looking at life that had been frozen for 24,000 years. A time when mammoths and saber-toothed cats still roamed the earth. What they found was a microscopic bdelloid rotifer, curled up in the soil like a tiny comma, seemingly lifeless. With painstaking care, they began to slowly thaw the ancient worm, controlling the temperature so they wouldn't shock it back into oblivion. Then, in an almost unbelievable moment, the rotifer began to wiggle. It wasn't just moving randomly, it was alive, feeding, and even reproducing. This moment marked the first time that a multicellular animal had been brought back to active life after so long frozen in suspended animation. This wasn't just about one worm, it was a window into life's hidden potential for survival. It challenged our basic ideas about biology, time, and even how we think about the limits of life on our planet. The revived rotifer didn't just wake up, it woke up questions that scientists are still racing to answer. The immortal wonder, bdelloid rotifer. So what exactly is this tiny time traveler that has stunned the world? The revived creature is called a bdelloid rotifer, a member of a fascinating family of microscopic, multicellular animals that have been around for millions of years. Despite being barely visible to the naked eye, bdelloid rotifers are some of the most resilient organisms on Earth. They thrive in some of the harshest environments imaginable, from mossy forest floors to frozen tundras and even acidic springs. One of the reasons bdelloid rotifers are so remarkable is their unique way of reproducing. Unlike most animals that rely on sexual reproduction, these creatures reproduce entirely asexually through a process called parthenogenesis. This means every single rotifer is essentially a clone of its parent, yet they have managed to avoid the usual pitfalls of genetic stagnation for millions of years. Scientists believe this is partly because they can absorb bits of DNA from their environment, a bizarre but clever trick that keeps their gene pool fresh. Bdelloid rotifers are what scientists call extremophiles, life forms that can survive in conditions that would kill most other creatures. When conditions turn harsh, these microscopic animals have a secret superpower. They can dry out completely, shutting down their metabolism and curling into a state called cryobiosis. In this dried-out state, they can survive radiation, extreme temperatures, and even the vacuum of space. When the environment becomes hospitable again, they rehydrate, springing back to life as if nothing happened. This incredible ability to dry out and revive has earned them a reputation as some of nature's ultimate survivors. Imagine a creature that can cheat death, pausing its biological clock for thousands, or even tens of thousands, of years. That is the bdelloid rotifer, a tiny animal with a survival strategy so powerful that it could inspire new ideas about medicine, space travel, and the very nature of life itself. Ancient life returns from the deep freeze. While the revived bdelloid rotifer has fascinated scientists and the public alike, it's not the only ancient life form to come back from nature's deep freeze. Over the past decade, researchers have uncovered other cases that seem almost too extraordinary to believe. Back in 2018, a team of Russian scientists working in collaboration with Princeton University made headlines when they unearthed two tiny roundworms known as nematodes from Siberian permafrost. These nematodes had been frozen for an astonishing 32,000 years. After carefully thawing the soil samples and warming them to a temperature similar to their natural habitat, the worms began to show signs of movement. Remarkably, they didn't just twitch and fade away. They actually started to eat and wriggle, proving that even multicellular organisms can survive far longer than anyone imagined. Nematodes weren't the only ancient survivors to make a comeback. Mosses and seeds have also demonstrated a stunning ability to outlast millennia buried in ice. One remarkable example involved a seed that had been frozen for nearly 32,000 years, preserved deep inside a prehistoric squirrel burrow in Siberia. When scientists managed to germinate the ancient seed, they watched green shoots unfurl, connecting the present to an era when mammoths still thundered across the tundra. Even mosses, which are far less complex than animals but more intricate than bacteria, have been revived after being frozen for 1,500 years beneath Arctic glaciers. But the revival of ancient life doesn't always bring good news. Alongside these harmless plants and tiny worms, scientists have also resurrected ancient viruses from permafrost. One of the most striking examples was the discovery of Pithovirus sibericum, a so-called giant virus that had been buried in Siberian ice for about 30,000 years. When thawed and placed near amoebas in a lab dish, the virus sprang back into action, infecting its host. Although this particular virus does not pose a threat to humans, it serves as a chilling reminder that the frozen ground may be hiding ancient pathogens that our immune systems have never encountered. These findings highlight the incredible resilience of life but also raise a cautionary flag. The same processes that allow scientists to study ancient ecosystems could potentially awaken dangerous viruses that have been locked away for thousands of years. As the permafrost continues to thaw due to rising global temperatures, what other biological surprises could emerge? These questions have sparked heated debates among researchers and policymakers alike. Some see the revival of ancient life as a thrilling opportunity to understand evolution and adaptability. Others view it as a Pandora's box that could release diseases we are completely unprepared to handle. The story of these ancient revivals forces us to confront the delicate balance between scientific discovery and the unpredictable consequences that may follow when we disturb nature's frozen time capsule. The secret of suspended life. When we hear about creatures waking up after tens of thousands of years frozen solid, it sounds like pure science fiction. Yet this incredible phenomenon has a scientific name: cryobiosis. Cryobiosis is a state in which an organism suspends all metabolic processes, essentially pressing pause on life itself to survive extreme conditions. For tiny organisms like the bdelloid rotifer or ancient nematodes, this survival strategy is not just impressive, it's essential. Cryobiosis works by allowing the organism to lose almost all of its body water. Without water, cellular activity halts and ice crystals that would normally destroy cell structures cannot form. Instead of dying, the organism enters a deep state of suspended animation, waiting for the right conditions to come back to life. Some extremophiles, such as certain tardigrades, are famous for this skill. They can survive boiling temperatures, freezing, and even the vacuum of outer space by curling up into a dehydrated state called a tun. These real-life survival artists can remain in suspended animation for years, decades, or even thousands of years, depending on the species and environment. Recent research suggests that simple creatures like nematodes or rotifers may hold the record for longest known survival in a frozen state. But the idea doesn't stop with worms and moss. Scientists are now asking whether the secrets of cryobiosis could someday be applied to humans. Research into suspended animation for medical emergencies has already begun. Doctors hope that putting patients into a temporary frozen state could help slow down critical injuries, giving surgeons precious extra time to save lives. Some even dream of using similar techniques for long-duration space travel. Imagine astronauts on a mission to Mars or beyond, sleeping through years of travel, waking up only when they reach their destination. Of course, humans are far more complex than worms or rotifers, and the risks of freezing our cells are enormous. But every tiny ancient creature that wakes up from nature's deep freeze teaches us a little more about the incredible resilience of life. One day, these lessons could help us push the boundaries of human survival in ways we can only begin to imagine. The de-extinction dilemma. When a tiny worm can come back to life after 24,000 years, it's impossible not to ask an even bigger question. If we can wake up ancient life forms, should we go further and bring back species that have completely disappeared? This is the heart of the growing debate over de-extinction, a field of science that combines genetic engineering, cloning, and cutting-edge reproductive technologies to try to resurrect extinct animals. One of the most famous examples of this idea in action is the effort to revive the woolly mammoth. Russian and Korean scientists have poured millions into trying to bring back these shaggy giants that last roamed the Earth thousands of years ago. In Siberia, teams are scouring the permafrost for well-preserved mammoth remains. They hope to extract usable DNA and insert it into the eggs of modern Asian elephants, the mammoth's closest living relatives. The dream is that one day, a living baby mammoth will take its first steps across the tundra, turning back the clock on extinction. For some researchers, this is an exciting promise. They see de-extinction as a way to restore lost biodiversity and even help fight climate change. Imagine herds of mammoths trampling the tundra, knocking down trees and compacting snow, which could help keep permafrost frozen for longer. But not everyone is convinced that reviving extinct species is a good idea. Critics argue that it could cause more harm than good. Bringing back a species that disappeared thousands of years ago means introducing it to an environment that has changed drastically. Where would these revived animals live? How would they interact with modern ecosystems that have no memory of them? Some ecologists warn that we could create invasive species that disrupt delicate food chains, pushing already struggling wildlife into further danger. There are also moral and ethical questions that can't be ignored. Should we spend huge sums trying to resurrect extinct animals when many living species are on the brink of extinction right now? Would the money be better spent protecting habitats, enforcing conservation laws, or helping endangered species recover naturally? And if we have the power to bring back a mammoth, where do we draw the line? Dinosaurs. Saber-toothed cats. Or creatures we've driven extinct in just the past few centuries. Some scientists believe that instead of resurrecting entire species, we should focus on rewilding, using genetic engineering to bring back lost traits that can strengthen modern animals. For example, adding ancient genes to help modern elephants survive in colder climates. This approach might balance the dream of restoring the past with the practical need to protect the present. The debate over de-extinction is far from settled. But the moment that tiny worm wriggled back to life in a Siberian lab, it forced all of us to think more deeply about what we can, and should, do with the secrets locked in the ice. Thawing permafrost, the hidden threat. It's easy to see the revival of a prehistoric worm as a feel-good story about nature's resilience, but the truth is far more complicated. That same frozen soil that kept the worm alive for thousands of years could also release threats we're not prepared for. The Siberian permafrost is like Earth's giant freezer, storing everything from ancient microbes to huge amounts of greenhouse gases. As global temperatures rise, more of this permafrost is thawing every year, exposing layers that have been locked away for millennia. What worries scientists isn't just the rebirth of ancient worms but the return of long-dormant diseases. One chilling example happened in 2016 when an anthrax outbreak in northern Siberia was traced back to a decades-old reindeer carcass that thawed during a heat wave. The spores, preserved in the frozen ground, spread to local herds and even infected people. This tragic event was a stark reminder that the melting permafrost isn't just a climate story, it's a public health story too. Permafrost holds more than frozen animals and microbes. It also traps enormous amounts of carbon. Scientists estimate that permafrost contains about 1,700 gigatons of carbon, roughly twice as much as what is currently in our planet's atmosphere. When the ice melts, organic matter decays and releases carbon dioxide and methane, both potent greenhouse gases. This creates a dangerous feedback loop. As more greenhouse gases are released, temperatures rise faster, which in turn melts more permafrost. The ancient worm that came back to life is a tiny signpost for a much bigger problem. Each new discovery makes us wonder what else might wake up as the ice disappears. It could be ancient viruses, bacteria, or other microbes we know nothing about. While the science of reviving long-frozen life is fascinating, the reality of a warming world means we have to be ready for what might emerge from the depths of the thawing permafrost. In a changing climate, the past is no longer buried, it's coming back, and we need to be prepared. A glimpse into our future. When a tiny prehistoric worm stirs back to life after 24,000 years, it does more than just amaze us. It forces us to think about what is possible for our own future. Reviving ancient life reminds us that nature often has secrets we have yet to fully understand. This tiny worm's story shows that life can persist in the harshest conditions, far beyond what we once thought were its limits. It makes us ask what else in nature might hold the blueprint for survival against all odds. This idea of suspended life opens up a world of possibilities far beyond the frozen soil of Siberia. Scientists are already studying the principles behind cryobiosis to see if they could one day apply to humans. Imagine a future where people with severe injuries could be put into a state of suspended animation, giving doctors precious hours or even days to repair damage that would otherwise be fatal. Now take that one step further, think about the stars. Could the secrets hidden inside this revived worm inspire breakthroughs for space travel? Many researchers believe so. Suspended animation could be the key to sending astronauts on missions that last for years, or even decades. Sleeping through the emptiness of deep space, waking up only when they reach distant planets or moons. It sounds like something out of science fiction, but each new discovery pushes this idea a little closer to reality. Yet this story also reminds us that just because we can do something does not always mean we should. Should we revive ancient creatures simply because we have the technology to do so? Could we handle the risks that come with reawakening life forms from a world that no longer exists? What do you think? Should humanity bring back ancient life, or should some things remain frozen in time? If you found this story as mind-bending as I did, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss more incredible science stories that make you question what's possible. The past may be frozen, but our curiosity should never be.